All right, how are you?
Scrolling through the
Better
noise,
Nice little
now.
just
theme
looking
song
for a
here.
sign. Tired of the fakeness, the filters, the lies. I need a place where the vibe is real, where the talk is deep and the friendships heal. No more chasing likes, no more chasing views. Just a space where I can be me and you can be you. Drop into a nook, yeah, let's start a chat. Real talk, real time, imagine that. Oh, where the real ones go, no feeds, no fakes,
Welcome,
just a space
everyone.
to
I
grow.
see that
Nooks,
joining us.
loops, sparks ignite. Let's talk all day, let's vibe all night. Loop
Yeah.
me in, got a thought to share. Sparks fly high when the combo's rare. Step in the spotlight, grab the mic. Big ideas shining bright tonight. We're not just likes, we're voices loud. Breaking free from the scrolling crowd. Join the wave, be part of the sound. Kornerz is where real talk's found.
All right.
That was amazing.
So we have
Oh,
a pretty interesting conversation. Shall we kick it off?
yes, let's do it.
All right. So I I thought of this for a little while. Like we needed to do something kind of because of the holiday seasons coming into play. And this is really kind of where the source of it was. Like there's a lot of, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of anxiety, there's the family dinners, there's people that have lost family during the holidays. So there's all these different things. And then there's the new year even coming. So we're doing a 7-part series here. We're gonna navigate the holiday season with this series. So you'll see, if you didn't see it already, there was a post that just got sent out that gave you all the details. But today we're gonna start out a little bit going into it. So our first one is where am I at? I lost my track here. Here we go. So we're gonna start navigating the holiday season. That is our corners conversation for the series. And our first one is going to be on when holidays feel heavy. So this is just a kind of a good intro to it, how we deal with it. There's that dread that comes up for some people where they realize the holidays are coming. I know myself, sometimes I have a dread for it. It's like, just as much as I love them and I want to be part of it and everything else, there's also the anxiety of all those issues that might have happened, or all the past things that comes up in our minds. So those things start to weigh, and sometimes it makes it a little harder. So we're going to try to understand what these mixed emotions are, and uh, figure out how to practice the self-compassion. What do you think, Khalil?
I love that, because holiday seasons, it means so much, in every aspect. And from my perspective, whatever everyone is going through, obviously there's the anxiety, for a lot of people, like, oh, whenever I think about Christmas or the holiday seasons, I remember, my family and the loved ones, and obviously brings a little sorrow to the table, but as
Mm-hmm.
well brings that joy, that faith that everything is gonna be better. It's gonna be that great moment. And the new year kind of wraps it up for it, and and we kind of move forward with the upcoming season. So for me, I feel that a little bit of both, a little bit of sorrow because the year's ending, everything's going to be left behind, and I miss a lot of people, a lot of the loved ones cannot be with me, but at the same time, there's that joy, that
Mm-hmm.
there's something more coming in, that
Mm-hmm.
there's a new chapter, there's a new season. So I love that.
Mm-hmm. And well, you have a truly a new chapter coming. So your holiday season is going to be a whole different thing starting in just a few weeks with your twins coming.
You read my mind, so that's exactly what I'm feeling right now, a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, and obviously a lot of joy, because for those
Mhm.
that doesn't know, me and my wife, we're expecting twins. So they're we're 9 months pregnant, so they might come anytime soon,
Mm.
so but we're expecting them to come on December 3rd, and it's amazing. It's gonna be our first holiday as a family. So that's just amazing.
And it's always exciting when that part of your life kicks in. I remember when my nieces were born and the excitement around that with the holidays and especially for Christmas, like we went crazy on buying toys and they weren't even they were still babies, but we're still
Yeah.
buying tons of stuff for them,
Uh-huh.
and I think my brother was buying more for himself than he was for the kids, but it worked and it was fun and
Yeah.
we every year, after that it was a big deal of making sure Christmas was always a fun thing for the kids. So
Yeah, and
and
for
then
example,
yeah, go ahead.
go for it, go for it.
No, go ahead.
I was talking about you talked about this, and I remember, you remember that movie Home Alone?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was the joy of Christmas, kind of, like uh we getting together with the loved ones, to watch.
Mm.
So like the movie industry is very smart, because they always have, the cherry of the cake for the holiday seasons, right?
Yep.
And for me, hearing you talk about this, for some reason remind me of the Home Alone movie,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always think of that, and like, there's a couple other Christmas movies that always like makes me remember the spirit of Christmas and the spirit of the holiday season. I mean, there's depending on where you're at, there's a lot going on in the U.S. We have Thanksgiving that starts it off, and then we go into the full holiday season with all the different holidays, from Hanukkah to Christmas to whatever, all the different ones, the Kwanzaa and all that stuff. So there's lots of like little seasons that are all happening right now, and it's stressful for some, because some have
yeah.
families that hit all of them, and others have just a couple, and then some don't have the family, which is the other stressful part because then you're
Yeah.
dealing with hearing everyone else and you're not in that mix. So it is a very stressful season for people, no matter what. But there is a lot of joy that you can find, and I think that's the key thing that we want to look at. So today we're gonna talk about the how to lower pressure and move with compassion, because that's the number one thing. You want to take that pressure off yourself, and you want to have some compassion for the others around you, because they may be in that situation where they aren't happy about the holidays, or they're a little bit more stressed about the holidays. So we have to have that compassion for them as well as for yourself, because if you're stressing out about it, take that step back and just give yourself some room so you can know that it's okay, and it's okay to be a little stressed, but it's also good to just pull back and take that pressure off yourself. And then we're gonna talk do a little emotional check-ins and grounding, and we also have some things that we'll send out after this in our post, which will give you some self-reflections and stuff like that, so some good prompts that you can journal with, stuff like that. And then we're going to go into why do the holidays feel so overwhelming for some of us? And we've already talked a little bit about it, but we're going to go a little bit more detail of that. So that's kind of the where we're going with this, and um, let's start working through it.
Yeah, and I love that, and whenever I feel kind of down, during the holidays, I love going for a walk, like going to a park, seeing all the lights, and seeing people, because I don't know if you get the same vibe, but on holiday season, everyone is like, "Hey, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays," and
Mhm.
this and that. It's so much joy, and obviously there's all this lighting going around. The 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 cities always does something. There's Santa
Mhm.
Claus everywhere, there's Christmas trees, parades going on. So that's my way as well, to kind of cool off, and put the Christmas hat and kind of, yeah, that's what's up.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's, I think those things are the things that kind of bring some of the joy, if you know, like, events going on in your area and you can participate in them. I think that's a great way of reminding yourself of the spirit behind it all,
Mhm.
because that's where I think many people kind of like they avoid it, but it actually can make you also feel better if you're in that type of environment, because when everyone's kind of excited, the spirit kind of gets into you too, and you start being feeling that excitement and that pleasure. Here in Philadelphia, we have a village that's right outside of City Hall where they do all sorts of Christmas stuff and everything else. There's a ice skating rink that they have going on, and then we have a Charles Dickens village that they put in, and one of our old department stores, and in there is also an old organ that they always played, and they're going to have that playing with the Christmas songs and the lights and everything else. So it's going to be really nice, and been a tradition for many years. And the store closed recently, but they've revived it so that the store area could still be used for that. So it's pretty cool, that that's going to still happen. Um, yeah, there's a lot of great little things. There's, and then the parades. We have the lightings of the tree, and then there's also all the stuff on TV too that kind of help you with the spirit too. So it's taking that time back and just kind of looking at it in a different way, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And it's okay to feel otherwise as well, A lot of
Hmm.
people get very emotional, because obviously they remember a loved one that for some reason is not around anymore. And it is okay,
Hmm.
that to feel that. It wouldn't be okay not to feel that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, it means that you care. It means that you love that person so much, and you had some great times together,
Hmm.
But we need to look after, a few red flags as well, So look around on your neighborhood, on your community. If that person is more quiet than usual, if she's not, socially engaging that much, So if that emotion goes beyond, the usual, then that needs to be overlooked, to
Hmm.
see if that person's not struggling, and so on and on. Makes sense. What do you think about this, Rich?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's exactly it. It's checking on those around you. That's the compassion part we talked about a little bit. That we need to keep a tab on our friends and our families that might be struggling. I know in my family, we've lost several during the holiday season, um, over time, but still they seem to always happen right around the holiday. So there's a lot of connection of the sad part as well as the joys. So it's reminding though each other that the joys of it, and the happy parts that we had. Like, in 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 my family, we'll do, at the table, we'll have a setting for those that have passed, and that's kind of our
That's
remembrance. And then we can
beautiful, man.
talk about those people, and remember this and remember how they love this, and like it brings a different perspective to it versus being sad. It's kind of the joy of it, because sometimes you just need to celebrate that person, not be sad about that person, because they've moved on and they're in a better place. We need to celebrate that they were here with us and we remember those times.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And there's a lot of like simple emotional check-ins that we can do with people, and again, you need to validate. I saw a lot of times, people say like, hey, you can't be sad in holiday season, like I don't think that's a good behavior, to do with those people. Like, hey, let them feel it. We
Hmm.
are human beings. We should be able to feel it. Don't disvalidate that feeling. Instead of say like, hey, it's okay to feel that way. You love that person. You spend so much great time with it. And it's okay. You know.
Yeah. Where do you think that pressure of you have to be happy came from?
Oh, first of all, it started with let's say commercials on TV, so
Hmm.
whenever you see one of those Coca-Cola ads, it's filled with joy. All those like supermarket commercials and food brands and whatever, they're all filled with joy, that happy family, that perfect, American family, and so on and on. And obviously that moved on to social media. A lot of people, they plan their holiday season around creating content, and
Hmm.
they kind of forget the true meaning of what it's behind. So I believe a lot of people, and from my point of view, I see a lot of people getting lost. They just think about how they're gonna look like, how their tree is gonna look like, how they're gonna shoot their Christmas, how they're gonna post in their Christmas. And you see, like, I saw that with my own
Hmm.
eyes. Christmas gatherings that one person was like,
Yeah.
she was trying to get content, all like, hey, chill, dude, just enjoy the moment, like, it's okay to post it and then write it, it's amazing, but enjoy for a second. and
Exactly.
and those people sometimes, they're like, hey, Christmas, family Christmas, and once they put the phone down, they're like, ah, yeah, boring, like,
Yeah.
so we got to be very careful with it. And then from your point of view, where do you think that pressure comes from?
I think it's definitely social media that puts the pressure today. I think though, um, when we look at it, there's been a lot of movies over time and stuff like that that kind of gives you that feeling like
Hmm.
it's supposed to be this perfect, holiday season for everyone, but it's not. And I think a great story that really kind of reminds us, and it in US they play it every year, which is um uh the oh, It's a Wonderful Life. So that one is always being played, and there's this. I think the thing behind it is that even though you might feel like you're not worthy of it, or you shouldn't be here, or whatever, there is such joy that you bring no matter what. So if you weren't in this life, there would be people that would be missing you, and that there is a definite fact there. You might think that no one would miss you, but the fact is that you influence so many other people that you don't even realize. Every day you have a connection that you do that. So I think that's a big part of why that story is such a precious one, and all. And even the Pope just recently said that was one of his favorite movies. So just to give you a little bit more perspective on it. So
That's amazing. And what do you believe helps someone feel less alone during this season?
um, when you get into that feeling of loneliness, I think it's about getting that connection. So talking with others. I think if you isolate yourself and you kind of just focus on social media and stuff like that, you can easily go down a rabbit hole of being lonely as well as feeling lonely, because you start seeing all the joy that everyone else is having and you're going, well, I'm not part of that. I'm not having that right now. I'm sitting here just looking at it, and that can be a very down spiraling thing. So whether you talk to someone on the phone, video chats like we do with Corners, or just going out to, like I said, some of these celebrations and being part of that, all those things can make a difference, and they can turn around that loneliness. Because I think the big part of about loneliness for many of us is that we isolate ourselves, and it's very easy to do. And you might think, "Oh, I don't do that," but the fact is, there's a lot of people that do it and they don't even realize they're doing it. And social media is one way that you can isolate yourself, because you can just scroll and scroll and scroll, and you're not talking to anyone. Maybe you might make a comment, but you're really not talking to anyone. That's kind of why we made Corners, was because we wanted to have an ability to talk with others, so that it's not just scrolling. There is a connection with others, and that conversation can actually happen. Um, and that's what we all need. We need that real time conversation, whether you go to a coffee shop, or you go visit a bar, or go to some sort of concert, or a show, or just go into the malls or whatever and just hang out with other people. Like, there's a lot of ways of doing that.
And that's amazing, and I love that. And I believe a great way is just message someone, just
Hmm.
show some love. Make sure to check in on
Hmm.
that high school friend, and that old friend that you used to hang out with. That can literally make a difference and
Hmm.
change the whole perspective on someone's uh, Christmas, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. And
And
if you
and
can go a step further and say, "Hey, you want to chat?" Like, get on a phone, or do a video chat.
yeah,
That's even better. Those are the steps that you want to take to make a real connection. You can text with each other, but there's a limitation still to that, where you don't feel that connection
yeah,
sometimes. So the real connections are when you can physically talk with that person, whether it's through the phone, video chat, or in person. Those are the things you want, so that you have that connection and you don't feel that loneliness, because now you're interacting with people. And yes, maybe afterwards you're going to feel lonely again, but that's okay. It's okay to feel lonely. It's and one thing to feel lonely, but it's another thing to do something about that loneliness. So if you're feeling lonely, you need to be doing things so that you don't feel that all the time. And I think that's the key a key message that everyone needs to hear, is that yes, you might feel lonely and it's okay, but now you need to do something so that it's not there all the time. And the more activity you do, the less lonely you're going to feel.
exactly. And obviously, for some people, you can change their whole perspective. For
Hmm.
example, a turkey, for some people, the audience might think, yeah, that's not true. But for a lot of people, they don't really have the resources, for example, to buy a turkey,
Hmm.
so that's another great example on how you can, support someone else
Hmm.
holiday season. Even a stranger, for
Yep.
example, just go in the supermarket, buy a turkey that is going to be a few dollars, uh,
Hmm.
just give it to someone on the street, just
And
drive by, a neighborhood and see,
mhm.
someone that might need it, and
Yep.
just give it, and
And
that's
there's a
just
lot in the United States. There's a lot of charity type things that happen,
yeah.
like food banks that we have, where they're giving out free turkeys, and there's all sorts of other type of specials where they're giving out turkeys. So there, even if some people can go to the grocery stores, they spend a certain amount and they get a free turkey, but they may not want that turkey. Buy
Hmm.
that turkey and get that free turkey and give it to
Yeah,
somebody else. That
exactly.
those are
Uh-huh.
definitely things you can do, because maybe one of your neighbors can afford it, or maybe they didn't
Yeah,
get that free turkey or something like that. So those, or you can give it to one of those food banks and say, "Here, I got a turkey for you," because they're always in need of these things. And then the other part I think that's important is just remembering that those types of charities are very important, to be that connected there. to have that understanding that people aren't always able to, like Toys for Tot is a big thing where you can,
Hmm.
buy the get the toys for the kids. There's all sorts of other groups that do similar things. The food that's a huge thing, especially like in the United States. Like next week's, is going to be Thanksgiving, and people are struggling right now, and they need that support. The food banks give so much, but it would be nice if maybe if somebody that's struggling, maybe you get them a bag of groceries, or you buy them that free turkey, and stuff like that. So um, little
Yeah,
things like that can go a long way, especially if you know somebody in the neighborhood. I've known people that have done that. They find the person in the neighborhood who's struggling a little bit, and they either leave a package on their steps, or
yeah,
because they maybe don't want to embarrass them, but they do something like that so that they feel a little bit more, less called out about it, but then they have those things. Um, so I think it's important because some people
exactly,
struggle and they don't tell anyone. They
exactly.
don't want to. They don't want to go to a food bank because they feel they have too much pride, and they don't tell anyone, so they can't get the help that they need. They don't want to get the extra support necessarily, but sometimes you can find out through other means that they're struggling, and you can do something like that by just putting a bag on their steps.
Definitely, definitely. And obviously, man, if you go into a dollar store, for example, with like $10, $20, you can buy like a bunch of little toys for kids as well. So that's another great way to support somebody's Christmas, somebody's holiday. It's not about giving food or whatever, and just drive to a park and drop to the kids. Like if you put in the little boxes or gift wraps, they're gonna
Mhm.
know what's up, they're gonna check it out,
Yeah,
and that's what's up as well.
exactly. So it's spreading that cheer in a different way, and
Yeah,
making your own connection with others. And not everyone can do that, and that's okay.
yeah,
But even if you're just doing little things, or reaching out to them and trying to help them in other ways, maybe connecting them with something, where they can get that support. That those are things you can do too. And if you're struggling, reach out. There's so many things out there, so don't
yeah,
struggle alone. Um,
exactly.
it's important that we all remember that it's okay. We all have different times and different needs, and it's okay to have needs. There's nothing to be embarrassed about that. There's days where we all struggle, so that's why we help each other out.
That's a great reminder, Rich. And obviously, if anyone that's watching us need any kind of help, any kind of support, or just a sounding board, reach us out.
Yeah,
Reach Rich or me, DM us, and we're gonna be here, man.
yeah, exactly.
That's what's up. And I also like to state that, hey, in some holidays, I was like, you know what? I want to go out. I want to see people. I want to go to a park. I want to see a parade. And there's other holidays, that I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be a little more introvert. Just gonna chill with a few people, maybe at home, or maybe meet at a friend's house or whatever. And it's fine.
Hmm.
Don't think that you're forced to kind of follow something just because it's what you saw on TV or whatever.
Yep.
Go follow your heart, whatever it tells you that you need to do that holiday season. That's what you should
Yep.
do.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, there's been years where I didn't want to do anything, and I had to just kind of pull
Mm,
back, and then other years where I went all out. It
yeah,
just depends on what's going on, and you have to kind of treat yourself. Like after my mom died, I was a little bit more pull back, and I didn't want to deal with things. But then, I got through that, and after the first year, it was a little easier, and then I started to celebrate, and that's a different way now. So you got to give yourself those types of spaces when you need them. But
exactly.
what kind of expectations can people let go of right now that they can think about? What's an expectation that people should let go?
Mm, that's a great question. What expectations should people let go? Uh, I believe they need to let go the expectations of what holiday season should look like, and they should leave it, because sometimes I believe we create so much expectations that we just don't enjoy what has been given to us during that holiday season. For example, I create this expectation that on my holiday this year I would have this big old turkey, you
Yeah.
know and for some reason there's another dish on the table, but I was like, but I wanted a turkey with Coca-Cola, and then there's no Coca-Cola. Someone brought Sprite, and I was like, but I wanted Coke, so it's fine. And I
Yeah.
believe that kind of expectations, we need to let it go. Whatever happen, and that's what makes the holiday season so
Yeah.
great. What do you think? What
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah, I think it's the perfect. We have to let go of the perfect holiday, the perfect mood, the perfect gift, the perfect family moments. There is nothing perfect necessarily. I mean,
Mhm.
yes, you might have a great holiday, you might have a great mood, a great gift, or all that, but nothing has to be perfect. It has to come more from the heart. So look at it that way. Look at the joy of it and the reason of it, not the perfection of it. Because if we go into that perfection mode, it becomes really hard on us and we start to go crazy. And I know people that go crazy. They want the perfect gift for everyone. They want to have that perfect setup of everything. The table has to be perfect. The decorations have to be perfect. And it can
Yeah,
be overwhelming to people when they do that.
yeah,
You gotta let go of that perfection. As much as you want it to be perfect, it's okay not to be. And we have to remember those things.
yeah. And sometimes, for example, some people might not enjoy the dinner because they couldn't get that red napkin they wanted. And
Yeah.
oh my God, we have white napkins. Oh my God, Christmas is done for me.
Yeah.
People,
Yeah. Oh, I do.
people get, people get so overwhelmed by this, and I love that perspective.
Yeah, I have a few family members that just go a little bit crazy about it, which I love it, but it's also I know they're stressing. Like they they
Yeah.
they want to make the entire dinner themselves. They want to do everything of the decorations themselves, and they go all out. And yes, it's beautiful. The dinner's always great, but that's a lot of work for one person. And
Hmm.
we have to like remind them it's okay. You don't have to do all that. We
Exactly.
it's the spending the time together that's more important than anything else.
Exactly.
The food and everything else, that's a bonus, but it doesn't have to be perfection. Um,
Hmm.
I know one of my family members that she'll make tons of vegetables with the meal. And I remember everyone always saying, yeah, oh my God, there's 14 vegetables on this table. And it was nice, it was great, because everyone had something they liked. But you know it's also a lot of work for that person. So if
Yeah.
if we can help them remind that it's okay not to have 14 vegetables, we can we can live on a few. So it's all about helping each other and reminding each other that it's okay not to be perfect.
Exactly. And it's okay to have help,
Yeah.
like, hey, that everyone join in, whoever wants to help, they can help. They can be, a helping hand. And that's what makes the holiday season so great. People fly in from other states, and sometimes there's the only time that people are able to get together because of the holiday season. A lot of people are off work and so on, and that's amazing. And that's the kind of vibe that we want this holiday season. And
Yeah.
speaking of that, speaking of the perfect moment and the perfect setup, we would love to invite everyone to join us on Corners, for a conversation about this, of what we expect for the holiday seasons, what is holiday season for you, for your family, and obviously ask questions and talk to us. It's a great opportunity to meet people from all over the world. I'm in Brazil. Rich is in Philadelphia. and that's what Korn is all about. We have people from Malaysia, from Poland, UK, all over United States, Brazil, Argentina, and so on. We're a big network of people.
Exactly, exactly. And it's this is the time to do that. And remember that the holiday season, you need to take that pressure off of you. Um, choose what is nourishing you, what is helping you. Maybe don't do as many events if you're someone who's always has everything scheduled every weekend or every day or things like that. Maybe pull back on a few. Maybe make those meals a little simpler, like we talked about. Look for a couple quiet nights so that you can reset, because if you're going out every day or several times a week for events or parties or whatever, having a couple quiet nights might just help you reset. So um, try to balance it out for yourself so that you can enjoy, because it's about you making the season for yourself as well as for others. And it has
Amen.
to be your season. It doesn't have to look like anyone else's.
Amen. Amen. That's what's up. All right. So let's go to the other side. Let's go into Corners. What do you say, Rich?
I think that's a great idea. Let's head over to Corners. If anyone wants to join us, please do. If you don't already have a subscription, please please know that the subscription is there's a 7-day grace period before you actually get charged for anything. So if you're interested in just trying it out and joining us for a little conversation, please come over and join us, and we can have those ongoing conversations. And I think once you're in Corners, you're going to love it, because then we can have ongoing conversations anytime you want. So, all right.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy
See you guys
holidays.
all
We
right.
have more sessions coming up, so keep an eye out for the next ones. Thursday will be our next one at noon. So, look forward to talking, everyone. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.